Janet in California. I'm having a hard time understanding books of the Bible because I don't understand the 12 tribes. Who is Judah and who is Israel? Why are these tribes important? Is this vital to my salvation? I know the Antichrist comes first. Well, I'm glad you know that the Antichrist comes first. Now, knowing who the 12 tribes are, that'd be a pretty far stretch to try and convince someone that that was a salvation issue. John 3:16 tells us how we gain salvation, and knowing who Judah is or who the tribes are doesn't really enter into that anyway. But after you study God's Word for a while, these names start sticking and they mean something, yes. To answer your question, of course, we have to go back to 1 Kings chapter 11 and 12. And we learn there that due to King Solomon's idolatry, he took on a bunch of wives and a bunch of concubines, and a lot of them were foreign women who brought their foreign gods and their foreign religions to Jerusalem. Solomon fell into the trap of worshiping their gods, and therefore it made God angry, and rightfully so. He's a jealous God, and at that point Judah, actually the entire nation was split, and you had Judah went with Solomon's son Rehoboam as their king, the king of Judah, and then you had Jeroboam, who was given the 10 northern tribes, which are known as Israel. Now, the whole nation was Israel to start with, so don't let that confuse you. But after the split, Israel became the 10 tribes to the north, also commonly referred to as Ephraim, because Ephraim was the largest of those 10 tribes. But that is all written for our understanding and our learning. Make a note, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 11, the teachings of Paul in the New Testament. He goes through the first part of that chapter 10, talking about Moses bringing the Israel out of Egypt through the waters of the river that was parted, the Red Sea that God parted for them, but in several other instances of events in the Old Testament. And Paul said these things in verse 11, 1 Corinthians 10, these things happened as in samples to you, as an admonition. That's a warning, particularly in these end times. So understanding God's Word, what happened in the Old Testament, often adds meaning, and there are a lot of types in the Old Testament, and that's why we teach here at Shepherd's Chapel the Old Testament equally with the New Testament, which not a lot of Christian churches are doing these days. What is a